So I've waited a few days to talk about this in depth, but now it's time to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home. This is your official spoiler warning. Time to scroll past this if you see it, if you haven't seen the movie. When you see it, come back to this. Last warning. I mean it, scroll. Okay, so let's get into one of the biggest points in the movie, and that was how they killed off Aunt May. It is one of the biggest emotional points in the movie, and it's really a driving force for a lot of the story that comes after it. And for the first time in this Spider-Man trilogy, we actually finally get the MCU's version of the classic Spider-Man line, with great power comes great responsibility. But we get it from Aunt May right before she dies and not Uncle Ben. And let me tell you why that's actually genius, the way they did this. By this point, we should already know the origin story of Peter Parker Spider-Man. He gets bit by the spider, gets his powers, Uncle Ben gives him the classic line, great power comes great responsibility, just before he's shot and killed, and that motivates Peter to become the superhero Spider-Man. And the past Spider-Man franchises have followed that narrative. But because of that, we all assumed that Tom Holland's Spider-Man probably had the same origin story, even though we never actually saw it. So instead, what the MCU decided to do was hint at that background and then give us a 3-film long origin story, essentially. And instead of what they've done in the past of killing off Uncle Ben so quickly in a movie, a character that we really never actually get to know, the MCU decided to give us 3 movies with Aunt May in it and let us get attached to her and emotionally invested a little bit more. And then when we finally get her death and she's the one that says this line to him, it's so much heavier and emotional for us and Peter. Because at this point in time, after Aunt May dies, Peter Parker really has no real family left. And this gives us the emotional turmoil and really anger and rage in Spider-Man that we haven't seen from Tom Holland in his past 2 movies. And him overcoming that rage and still deciding to do the right thing is a really big part of what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man. So seeing and understanding No Way Home actually helps you appreciate and understand why they went the direction that they did with Tom Holland's past 2 movies.